Hey everybody, it's Dave here from Dragonhill Games, and you're watching This Week in MTG Finance. As always, and before we get started, I want to thank MTG Stocks for allowing us to use graphical information for the purposes of this video. If you're one of the many new subscribers to this channel, first of all, welcome to Dragonhill Games. We're happy to have you here. We do these videos every single week, and they come out on Sundays at midnight. It's a throwback look at what happened in MTG Finance this week. So if that's something that interests you, make sure you check back regularly for your weekly dose of MTG Finance. The magic markets have been on a crazy roller coaster ride ever since the pandemic started, and in particular, the last couple of weeks has seen a meteoric rise, mostly in reserve list investment. Now, I said this last week in our finance video, and I'm going to say it again this week. I'm pretty shocked that most of the market movers this week really have little or nothing to do with Kaldheim. All right, let's dive right into our top 10 list, and we're going to start right here with Serendib Efreet from Arabian Nights. Our number 10 winner this week is up 262% to $1,800. I can't believe I'm actually saying that. The number 10 winner this week is up 262%. And that is a huge jump for a card that already had a ton of value. Serendib Efreet is not on the reserve list, so that is something to definitely keep in mind. It has been reprinted a ton of times, and most recently in Jumpstart and Mystery Booster. So all of the value in this card has absolutely everything to do with its collectability. Really, the only one that's worth quite a bit of money is the original Arabian Nights printing. You do have a revised edition printing that's around the $10 mark. I don't really include Summer Magic because it was such a small print run and a very exclusive and hard to find set. So if we're looking at cards you can actually get your hands on, really the only other one is the revised edition that has any sort of value. So like I was saying, everything in this card is all about the collector value. I've talked about cards a lot in the past that are purely hold value for collector reasons, and in this case Serendib Efreet falls directly into that category. The only way I would be interested in purchasing, owning, or holding a Serendib Efreet is if it was a near mint card or a professionally graded card. Otherwise, heavily played and even lightly played versions of this card are worth substantially less because this card is really just sought after for collector reasons. All right, coming in at number 9, we have Phyrexian Purge from Mirage. Now, you're going to see this as a regular occurrence for the rest of the list. First of all, every single card from now until we get to number 1, they're all reserved list cards. And another thing they all kind of have in common is most of them are from this same sort of era around Mirage, Ice Age, Weatherlight, that 96, 97 type of era. And this seems to be the general direction that reserve list buyers are moving in. Just a couple of weeks ago, this card was worth only $6, and today we're $22.48, up 272%. I actually like Phyrexian Purge because it's actually playable. For 1 red and 1 black and 2, we get a sorcery and we can pay 3 life per target to destroy any number of target creatures. Pretty good deal for commander to have spot removal, and paying 3 life is nominal to be able to get rid of problem creatures. Here we have another Mirage card in the number 8 spot this week. Jabari's Influence is up 317% to $4.99. This card is certainly playable in casual commander formats. For 2 white and 3, we're getting an instant speed, and we gain control of target non-artifact, non-black creature that attacked us this turn and put a -1/-0 counter on it. 5 mana seems a pretty good deal to take control of your opponent's Avacyn. That said, this card is definitely situational, and it's no surprise that it doesn't appear in more competitive decks. And continuing with Mirage cards, our number 7 winner this week, Unfulfilled Desires, is also up 317% to $17.50. Man, just a couple of weeks ago, this card was a $4 card, and here we are today at almost $18. Unfulfilled Desires is actually a pretty good card, and there are definitely decks in blue and black that could make good use of this card and either negate or mitigate the life that you have to pay. For 3 mana, we're getting an enchantment, and we can pay 1 and pay 1 life, draw a card, and then choose and discard a card. There's plenty of blue-black decks that would love to be able to discard certain cards and are happy to pay 1 life to do so. I'll be honest, our number 6 winner this week is baffling me a little bit. Aku Jin from Visions is at $7 and it's up 328% this week. Not sure why this card is on the move. It's actually pretty bad. For 5 mana, we're getting a 5/6 Trampler. Now that part seems okay. However, it has a massive downside in that during your upkeep, each opponent puts a +1/+1 counter on each creature he or she controls. Now, there are some cards that definitely play with Akujin. For example, the new Foreign Klex completely negates the negative downside of Akujin. However, that requires playing green and black in the same deck, and it also requires you having both of these creatures in play to get this type of effect. Seems pretty narrow to me. Regardless, Akujin has been strapped to a rocket in the last week. Our number 5 winner this week is up 343% to $12, and that would be Hall of Mist from Ice Age. Not a widely played card. It's a land, it has a cumulative upkeep of 1, and no creature can attack if it attacked during its controller's last turn. However, this definitely could slot into stacks and control type strategies. Our number 4 winner is up 382% this week to almost $30, and that's Martin Stormgold from Ice Age. I find the graph on this card really interesting to look at. Over the course of the last 8 years, there's been a lot of interest and subsequent lack thereof for poor Martin. If you think about it, he's actually a pretty good card, but mono red aggro is not a new strategy. I mean, this type of strategy has been around since the dawn of Magic the Gathering. So Martin Stormgold could really kind of slot into almost any deck from any era. For 2 red and 2, we're getting a legendary creature. He's just a 1/1. However, when he attacks, all other attacking creatures you control get +X/+X until end of turn, where X is the number of attacking creatures, and the same happens if he happens to block. He could definitely be an interesting mono red commander. And we're back to Mirage with our number 3 winner this week. Bazaar of Wonders at $9.95 is up 459%. Interesting card. For 5 mana, we're getting an enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, remove all cards in all graveyards from the game. And that's probably the important part here, because the second part states whenever a spell is played, counter it if a card with the same name is in play or in any graveyard. I'm sure it gets a nominal amount of play, and I'm sure that second part plays very, very rarely. However, for 5 mana, we are getting a way for blue to exile all graveyards. Our number 2 winner this week is a pretty interesting card from Alliances. Gusta's Scepter is at $17.75, and this is up 478% this week. This card could definitely be played in a Cheerios type strategy, or any deck that wants to be able to string together a bunch of spells, especially with its 0 mana cost. But on the other side, this actually has a pretty good use in the right situations. If it leaves play or you lose control of it, you have to return all cards exiled with it to your graveyard. But you can tap it at any time to exile a card with it, and you can look at those exiled cards at any time. And you can also tap it to return a card that it has exiled to your hand. Seems like an interesting way to actually protect your hand if you're playing with some sort of mass discard strategy. And our big winner this week, up 536% to $6, is Prismatic Lace from Mirage. I honestly did not believe I would ever be saying that Prismatic Lace is a $6 card. However, this is actually on the move for a couple of reasons. First of all, it is a reserve list card, and Mirage is being heavily targeted right now by reserve list buyouts. Secondly, it actually works really well with a brand new card we have from Kaldheim. Orvar the Allform could be a commander, it's a changeling, and it has, whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, if it targets 1 or more other permanents you control, create a token that's a copy of one of those permanents. And that's very important for having cards like Prismatic Lace in your deck. For just 1 blue mana, you can target one of your permanents and essentially make a copy of it. Seems like a pretty cheap way to be able to copy some valuable creatures. All right, before I get into cards I'm investing in this week, as always, if you're a subscriber, you know I want to thank you for your continued support. And if not, now's a great time to go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Over on our online marketplace, www.dragonhillgames.com, we have a fantastic deal on Kaldheim Commander deck sets, and we still have some Kaldheim pre-release kits remaining with bonus packs. So if those are things that interest you, head on over to our online marketplace and check them out. You can find a link for that in the description of this video. Alright, let's kick things off with Jace the Mind Sculptor, specifically the recent double masters printing at only 50 bucks. That is crazy that you can pick up a Jace the Mind Sculptor for just $50, considering this card was around $150 just a few years ago. And of course, we're talking about the World Wake printing there. A few things to think about when talking about Jace the Mind Sculptor. First of all, it's mostly only played in Modern. In fact, that's where it sees 90% of its play. And of course, Modern is in the toilet and has been. Even before the pandemic started, Modern was on a downhill trend. But with talking to people in my store, my regular customers, the one word that comes out of their mouth a lot when I say, hey, when all of this sort of pandemic stuff is over and we can gather and start playing a Magic again, what are you going to play? The one word that comes out of their mouth that I'm hearing over and over again is Modern. So when all of that happens, the big names are going to make big comebacks. Now, that said, picking up a Jace the Mind Sculptor is a bit of a risky play. This is a card they seem to be reprinting over and over. They've targeted Tarmogoyf, they've targeted Jace. I'm not sure if they just wanted to beat those cards down and make them price-wise more available, or if they were counting on these cards being premium chase cards in whatever master set they happen to throw them in. So there is the distinct possibility that Jace could see, and probably will see, more reprints. That said, I don't think they're going to reprint this card anytime soon. We just had a double Masters printing, and it wasn't long before that we had a Masters 25 printing, and just a few years ago in Eternal Masters. So we've seen a lot of Jace. I don't feel like he's a chase premium card to be sticking in a new Masters set, especially with the situation that Modern is in currently. So I like Jace to pick up if you need some for your playset, if you're planning on getting back into Modern when we can all gather again and Jace is on your list. I think that now is a good time to be picking him up. Once we can gather again, you'll be hard pressed to find a Jace for 50 bucks. The next one I have for you guys today is a reserve list card in Second Chance from Urza's Legacy. $11.75. Now's a great time to be picking up this card. It's off of its all-time highs of nearly $15, and I expect that we're going to crash through that ceiling in the very near future. So get your hands on a Second Chance if you can for around the $12 mark. Now, I think Second Chance is a really underrated card. At just 3 mana, we're getting an enchantment, and during your upkeep, if you have 5 or less life, you sacrifice Second Chance and take an extra turn after this one. Of course, it's somewhat situational. You may never see 5 or less life. You could just simply be dead by the time that happens. But 3 mana is a cheap price to pay to get some extra turns down the road. And of note, there's a little known infinite turns combo with Second Chance and Sun Titan. If you happen to be in the range where you can sacrifice Second Chance, you can just swing with Sun Titan every turn and return Second Chance to the battlefield for use on your next upkeep. Perfect for Azure, the Enchanter deck. And last but not least, we have our speculation play for the week. That's right, it's Battle Mammoth from the brand new Kaldheim set. At $4.30, I would buy this card every day of the week. And in fact, once all the box openers really get going on this set, this will probably drop a bit more. So you could definitely wait on this card a little bit if you want to pick it up. For whatever reason, there's not a lot of interest in this set, but this is a card that is really good, especially in Commander. For 2 green and 3, we're getting a 6/5 Trampling Elephant, and whenever a permanent you control becomes the target of a spell or ability an opponent controls, you may draw a card. Of course, you can foretell this for 2 green and 2. There's a lot of green decks that this is going to appear in for a long time. In fact, as soon as I get my hands on one of these, it's going straight in my Selvala deck. Alright, I really hope you guys enjoyed this episode of This Week in MTG Finance. If you did, go ahead and smash that like button. It really helps me out, and we'll see you again soon. Bye for now.